Boom. Alright, what's up you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to be talking about my top 3 stock trades for the month of June 2022. And this month, I'm definitely feeling more of a June boom as opposed to June gloom on the horizon. So I'm excited to talk to you guys about a few of my favorite plays along with their upside price targets. So let's just dive straight into it. As you can see in front of us is a little write-up that I made for you, which consists of the 3 stocks that we're going to be talking about today, along with their ticker symbols, followed by a short description of what this company does and why I'm personally bullish on it, and then last, the price target for each of these given plays. We'll go over each of these one by one, and then after we cover their price targets, we will jump into TradingView in the back, and I will do my best to rationalize those price targets by talking some technicals. Okay, we'll go down the line here: ChargePoint, Unity, and then Coinbase. No spoilers here. You guys already know what they all are. So let's get into it, kicking it off with ChargePoint. But before we do, please let me know in the comments down below. What is your number 1 stock pick? You can do 3 if you want. But if you were to only buy and hold 1 stock throughout the month of June, what would it be? Let me know in the comments down below. Very interested to see what you guys have to say. So, ChargePoint, CHPT. ChargePoint operates the largest online network of independently owned EV charging stations across 14 countries and makes the technology used within them. On top of that, I will expand on the fundamentals, what makes me fundamentally bullish on these companies on top of these descriptions. So, for ChargePoint, which has ripped and done very, very well for the Waves fam over the past week or two now. 3x calls, which is great. Cheers to you if you got in on those. But ChargePoint, what makes me bullish on them right now is the fact that tomorrow, so maybe by the time a lot of you guys are watching this, later today in the case that you guys are watching this on the 31st, Monday, May 31st, ChargePoint is slated to announce their earnings. Okay, and it's not always guaranteed with some of these smaller market cap companies to announce earnings when some of these analyst websites predict they will announce them, but they are scheduled to announce earnings tomorrow. And I do think with everyone starting to go back to work and everyone, obviously the adoption of electric vehicles continually expanding regardless of what they buy, which is why I've always liked charging companies like ChargePoint, EVgo, Blink Charging a lot more than like Lucid, Tesla, etc., because it doesn't matter what brand people who buy electric vehicles are choosing to buy, whether it's a Lucid, whether it's a Tesla, whether it's a Ford, okay, whether it's a Mustang Mach-E or something like that. They're still going to need chargers. They're still going to need to charge their vehicles, okay? And that's why I really like ChargePoint, because their infrastructure is going to continue to be built out regardless of what brand of EV the individual is buying. Okay, so ChargePoint, very bullish on ChargePoint. It is once again the largest of all. It's a significantly more built out, significantly more infrastructure than plays like Blink and EVgo, which is why I personally like ChargePoint. And as far as their analyst ratings are concerned, so let's justify this price target of $17.50 as we dive into the charts in the back. But first of all, this is something I always like looking at: analyst ratings. So what TradingView does is they get the average analyst rating. I wish they said similar to Robinhood how many analyst ratings they compiled, but they take the averaged analyst rating with the 1-year price target. For CHPT, that target is 2560, representing almost a 2x from here, so 90% of upside from current levels. So I think some of these targets over the coming month, over the course of what I believe, as you guys know, what will be somewhat of a prolonged relief rally for the entirety of the markets, especially growth stocks that have been overly beaten down. I do think ChargePoint can easily see my target of $17.50 over the month of June. Okay, and if earnings are as impressive as I believe they will, then earnings are impressive as I believe they will be, I do think ChargePoint can easily see the $17.50 mark probably a lot sooner than the end of the month. Okay, so ChargePoint, and again, you guys, shout out to you if you've been following all those ChargePoint calls. I think we established them a week and a half or so ago, and they have just about 3x'd since. And again, you guys, anyone can make money in a bull market, but it does take skill. It takes discipline to make money in a bear market. And right now, although this is what I believe is a mini bull market, a bull market within a bear market, again, still takes discipline. You still got to be able to play the game. Okay, so cheers to you if you're still playing the game and if you were eating good on what has been a very solid ride with these CHPT calls. Anyway, ChargePoint at this point in time, as we head into a new week, is kicking off the new month, and I should say closing out the month of May, because it will be the 31st on a high note. And I do believe that momentum will carry over into June, because with ChargePoint's 13, almost 14% move up on Friday, this thing broke above multiple levels of resistance. So first of all, ChargePoint did break above, the previous low it set prior to that little pop and then big sell-off that we saw earlier in the month of May. Okay, so the previous low over here, you can see this little floor that did not even come into play. Maybe a little bit, maybe on 5-minute candles or something, may have come into play, but pretty much just broke through this previous floor. Now in short-term blue sky territory, technically a reversal because the previous low is broken. So now we are technically setting a series of short-term higher highs and higher lows, okay, with the break of, once again, this previous low over here. On top of that, ChargePoint obviously has broken above, which made me initially bullish, which is when I initially established some of these call positions. ChargePoint did break above the line of resistance on the downtrend. Okay, so boom, touch point here, multiple touch points here, creating a very evident line of resistance. Broke above that, came down, retested his new support, and then as you can see, we ripped up again. On top of that, very short term, following this bounce and reversal, ChargePoint is also above the line of resistance on this ascending channel, also above the line of support that I did believe would prove some resistance as well, but didn't, because ChargePoint, again, you guys, especially going into earnings, when you see price action like this, sustained price action like this is not always true. This is highly speculative, but a lot of times, especially with smaller market cap companies like this, usually when you see significant price action and volume leading up to an earnings report, there's usually some people who may have a little more knowledge than your average Joe has, who is loading up on shares because they have an inclination of whether this company will impress or disappoint. Okay, so in this case, obviously you can see the past few days have been amazing for ChargePoint. Granted, some of the earnings report may be priced in after this big rally, but once again, considering the analyst rating, the average analyst target is above $25 or almost a 2x from here. There is still, in the case that ChargePoint does impress, which once again, I do believe they will, definitely the potential that they could go a lot higher. But as far as my price target of 1750 goes, in this market, it's important to reiterate this for all of the names that we are going to cover today. I don't think the bull market's back. I don't think there will be a sustained rally for the rest of the year or even going through the summer. I do think that later this summer we could definitely see more pain, but short term the markets are oversold. All of the names we're talking about today, I do take fundamentals, take earnings, take revenue metrics into account when I'm pricing in what I deem to be fair value, because that definition is now somewhat vague. But these, in my opinion, are all objectively oversold from a fundamental perspective, and I do think that we can set at least a macro higher low. For ChargePoint, I do think that we will come up here to test this previous floor over here. Boom, set a low set back in October of 2021. Retested as a floor once again. Broke above it, ripped, came down, didn't really see much support there, I should say, because of the panic that was involved in the markets through April and May, but I do think that this level will come into play again. I do think that ChargePoint could very well set a macro, because when we zoom out here, obviously ChargePoint is still in a very macro series of lower highs and lower lows, high, low, lower high, lower low, etc., etc. I do think we can set a lower high here at this previous floor around 1750, which would represent from current levels about 30% of upside. Okay, so that's ChargePoint. Let's move on to Unity Software. Okay, this is a newer play to the portfolio, but one that is very, very, very promising at the moment. Okay, this arguably from an upside perspective, I do think that this is probably one of the most guaranteed trades in the market right now, at least in my opinion. Always remember, you guys, go do your own research, decide for yourself whether this trade works for you or not, whether these trades work for you or not, based on your own risk appetite and financial situation. But always know my money is where my mouth is. And again, if you guys are subscribed to the newsletter portfolio, you guys would know that my money is where my mouth is. On that note, before we dive into Unity and talk this bad boy, let us do a little shout out. You guys only have pretty much a day left until tomorrow, until Monday night, to take advantage of the 7-day free trial for my complete newsletter portfolio product. So exactly as it states here, complete breakdown of my personal portfolio, all of my call options, put options, how I'm hedging, stock positions, cryptocurrency positions, that I do update every single trading day during market hours. And with every update, I send out multiple email newsletters explaining my thoughts. So send out 3 newsletters every single day. Work very hard on this, but 4 or 5 hours per morning in Hawaii on this newsletter. Okay, so first is the trade alert, second is my macro fundamental breakdown, and then third is 4 or 5 charts of what I feel are most important on that given day based on the actions that I took in my portfolio. Okay, so again, I feel that it's more than worth it. In the past few weeks, in the past month or so, this would have paid itself off many times over, regardless of how much you're trading with. So again, I'm biased. I think it's a great product. I work very hard on it. So go give her a shot, give her a go. I'll let you be the judge of whether or not it is for you. But again, first link down in the description box below to give the free 7-day trial a shot. And hey, stick around if you like it, which I trust you will, but if not, it's all good. No worries, just unsubscribe. Regardless, I appreciate you watching this video right now. Let's get back into it, talk Unity, talk to these price targets after we talk about Unity, what this is. Okay, so Unity Software. Unity is a cutting-edge video game software development company, which is still extremely oversold, even after the bounce it's seen. Okay, and the same sentiment holds true with Coinbase. Okay, so Unity, bleeding edge of software development. You're making 3D games. You're trying to make something in VR, AR. Unity is one of, if not the leading dev company behind what will be the metaverse and AR, VR gaming, and even video games now. If you want to utilize 3D technology, even 2D technology, these guys kind of cover all the bases. So Unity is an extremely advanced software development company. Okay, that has seen extreme downsides. So when we zoom out here, you guys, again, a lot of these companies are so ridiculously oversold. Unity, one of the poster children of that metaverse trend, of the metaverse rally, saw a high of $212 back in November of 2021. It's crazy that this was just like a half a year ago. I mean, the market's changed, lives have been changed since then. It's crazy. But since then, Unity has seen a correction to the low it saw of $28.83, actually more than that, 85% correction from the highs it saw in November. Now, do I think that this is reasonable? Do I think that a 210 share price for Unity is reasonable? No, I think that's equally as outlandish and manic and unjustifiable as the lows that we saw. So I do think that both $27 and $210 are both extremely irrational and unreasonable. But I do think somewhere in the middle, again, reversion to the mean, finding that middle ground between the two extremes, finding the gray area, which applies to so many of the stocks we're talking about, is where a lot of these belong. Granted, the economic outlook, as far as just pretty much every general economic metric, is looking a lot more bleak than it was 6 months ago. Again, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. Somewhere in the middle, maybe on the lower end of the middle, that's what I'd say. Lower end of the middle makes sense, and that's why a lot of these price targets are set lower end of the middle range from the high to the low. And again, these principles apply to all of the growth stocks that I'm personally playing right now. But again, my money's where my mouth is. I really do like these 3 plays a lot. So short term, as you can see, this target is the line of resistance on the overall downtrend, all-time high. Next touch point here on that bounce we saw in April, that is creating the overall line of resistance. As we zoom in here, you can see that that line of resistance, which also coincides, I'll just do this right now, which also coincides where I'm just going to talk about my macro price targets, not going to cover these, that's for the newsletter. Okay, so my overall target, June 9th, if this works out perfectly. Keep in mind, you guys, it's all about when these trend lines are struck. Okay, so this is speculative, but overall line of resistance on Unity's overall downtrend. Okay, on top of the previous line of support on this relief rally, on this bounce, do coincide on June 9th around $58. Okay, $58. I did say my price target was $55. Everyone's going to be looking at this area if it takes that long to get there. Say it happens sooner. Say it happens June 6th. We just start ripping. That would take Unity to about $62, which actually also comes beautifully in line with the previous low, with that previous floor before Unity absolutely fell off a cliff in early May. Okay, so I do think that's possible. That is very optimistic, but hey, June 3rd is the end of this week. That is this Friday. In the case that we do rip, which honestly I do think is possible, and again, revert to that mean, because Unity is so ridiculously oversold, I do think that we could get up to about $62 in the next week. This is best case optimistic scenario, but hey, it's fun to think this way. Second wave, always bigger than the first wave, especially following a big bounce. Big sell-off equals a big bounce. Would still be using this previous floor. Use it as a new ceiling on top of testing overall resistance. Let's go with a fun price target. Price target for Unity, June 3rd, is going to be $63. But hey, it's always possible that it takes a little longer. We see a more organic climb up, which I would be perfectly fine with as well. Retest previous support as new resistance, and overall long-term resistance would take us to $58. Unity price target, $55 to play it safe, okay? Everyone's going to be looking at 58. You got to lowball a little bit. Don't get greedy. $55 is my Unity price target. But hey, maybe that will change. Subscribe to the newsletter to hear daily updates on my favorite plays. Okay, so let's close out with Coinbase. Take a look at Coinbase. Y'all know what Coinbase is. Like you, coin remains fundamentally undervalued. Crypto is also kicking off the new month strong, which is good news for Q2 revenue. A little shout out to, oh geez, where are they down? Boom, Bitcoin, Render, ripping right now. Helium looking awesome. So Bitcoin, Ether leading the week. If you guys watched the video I posted yesterday, videos have been getting no views lately. So please like the video, share, subscribe, whatever. If you guys were watching this, I shouldn't say if you care, but it would mean a lot if you guys could share it or whatever, help the algo, because it's just been pretty brutal lately. So again, still making it for the real ones. The ones who are still watching are really the ones that matters, especially with YouTube and especially the newsletter as well. It's always been in my mind quality over quantity. By far, again, like 1,000 true fans far outweighs a million distant fans. So thank you to you guys who are still watching, still just part of the Waves fam. You guys are the real ones. And yeah, I appreciate you. And again, happy Memorial Day. Happy month of June. I trust it's going to be a good one. So anyway, Bitcoin, a little tangent. Shout out to Render. Crushing it right now, up 20% in the past 24 hours. But again, crypto doing well. The markets, I'm assuming, are going to bounce, obviously. And that is very, very, very good news, of course, for Coinbase. Okay, so Coinbase, pretty damn simple in terms of my $95 price target. I do think at the very least Coinbase can fill the gap. It's set on May 9th. Like, Coinbase is the most ridiculously oversold company that I think we've maybe ever seen. Price to earnings ratio, PE ratio of 6, even after the bounce. Down here was at like 3 or 4, set of 4 or something. PE ratio, price to earnings ratio, a very historical way to dictate true value of a company. Okay, if you don't know what it is, go look it up. Price to earnings ratio of 6. That is probably lower than the oldest public railroad company on the Dow Jones. Okay? And we're talking about Coinbase, which is one of the most revolutionary hypergrowth companies probably of our generation and our children's generation as well. Okay? So Coinbase, stupidly oversold. This will be looked back on as a poster child of this growth stock crash, this dot-com bubble level crash that we've seen over the past 6 months. And that is also why I play this very well, and I bought a lot of Coinbase around $50, okay? And calls as well. So those calls have been, of course, doing beautifully as well. This past month has been amazing, you guys, honestly. The second half of the month of May, even before that shorting Tesla and whatnot, has been amazing. So again, if you want to follow the journey, last shout out, try the 7-day free trial, and I trust you won't regret it. Okay, so anyway, Coinbase, I do think at the very, very least, we'll be able to fill this gap right here on its way down. But honestly, I do think we'll come up here. We'll probably see some resistance within this gap range from 95 to 100, maybe correct a little bit. But I do think we will come up here to test Coinbase's a very long-term trend line, this cyan line right here. Again, you can see multiple touch points, boom, 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 acted as both support and resistance in the past. This aligns with Coinbase's previous low prior to that bounce, and again, just falling off a cliff. So previous low, I do think Coinbase at the very least can come up here, set a new higher low, a macro lower high, while also testing that longer-term trend line, which would take us to 112 by June 13th. But again, in the very, very short term, like by the end of this week, I think Coinbase will see at least $95. Okay, so that is my 2 cents. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, let me know in the comments down below, what is your #1 stock pick for the month of June? Look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. And I appreciate you watching, you guys. As always, take action, make waves. Peace.